Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is part 2 of what is tithes and the 501c3 plan. Before I left off, the video was cut short. Sorry about that. But we back. And when I left off, we was in Leviticus. Let me go to it. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30. And I was reading, and I'm going to read this again because this is a backbreaker for anybody believing that tithes is money within the church. It's not. I'm going to prove that. I'm going to read this again. This is Leviticus 27 and 30. And all the tithes of the land, whether of seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Elohim's, and it is holy unto the Elohim. As you see right there, he said of the fruits of the tree and the seed of the land. This is letting you know that tithes is food once again. I'm going to continue to prove in this video that tithes is food and it's not money, it's not shekels. It's not none of the things that you believe today. And on top of that, the tithes and the whole system, the sacrificial system, was done away with because Yeshua is our sacrificial lamb. So these churches steady using the sacrificial system, which tithes is a part of, are going off. But these are the same people that tell you that the laws are done away with, yet they use the laws to get money from them. This is the biggest contradiction I ever seen. You say the laws are done away with, we don't have to keep any laws, yet you use the Old Testament laws to get money from the people within the church. And the people don't even notice it because they're sheeple, and they're listening to every word that these preachers are saying as if they're God themselves, and they don't do their own research. People who have done their research probably have came out the church when they found out the reverends and the preachers and the pastors are getting over on them. The whole system of the church in America is getting over on them, and they're not telling them half of what they need to know because they're under a 501c3 plan. Now we're going to go to Malachi chapter 3, because your preacher, he ain't going to never read this because he don't want to make himself look he don't want you to look at him as if you're robbing him. When you hear this verse in church, you're going to look at the preacher like, are you robbing us? Are you really taking from us? Let's go to the chapter in the scriptures where your preacher is never going to go to. Sorry to let you guys know he's not going to go to this. They're not. Malachi, we're going to start at chapter 3. And I'm going to start at verse 8. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have I robbed thee? In tithes and in offerings. You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me and even the whole nation. I'm going to start right there because right below that there's a backbreaker under that. But it said, well, man robbed God with a question mark. And it said, how have you robbed me? It said, through tithes and through offerings. This is what these churches are doing across the United States of America. They're robbing the people who love God through tithes and offerings. They're lying to the people, telling the people they're saved and their soul is saved because they gave a few dollars. You can't buy your way into the kingdom. You can't buy your way into the kingdom with carnal things. The Most High is spiritual. So he doesn't want any of your physical or carnal money. He doesn't want anything physical anymore. He gave his son for sacrificial law. He used to consume food and wine, and he was a God that took offerings. But he's not taking offerings of that type anymore. He gave his son, the lamb's blood has been spilled, and the sacrificial law is over it. Yeshua is our sacrificial lamb and our sacrificial system now. So you can take tithes out the church. You can take a lot of the things that go to sacrificial law out of church. The feast days, the Passover just passed, and our Passover lamb is Yeshua. We don't have to physically have a feast like we did before the sacrificial law was done away with. Now let me jump down to verse 10 of chapter 3 of Malachi. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouses, that there may be meat in mine house. Prove me now herewith, saith the Elohim of hosts. If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out the blessings that thereof shall not be room enough to receive it. I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes. Now we're gonna stop right there. He said, meat into my house. This is another verse proving that the tithes is food. It's not money. It's not money. It's food. It's fruits. It's the first fruits. It's the first meats. And this is what tithes is. It's supposed to be given to the mothers, the fathers, and the widows. We're gonna go to that. Deuteronomy 14 to prove so we can find out where tithes supposed to go. Is tithes supposed to go to the preachers and the pastors in the church, which is already being paid by the government, or is it supposed to go to the people, the less fortunate? Is it supposed to go to the less fortunate? Is it supposed to go to somebody who's already getting paid? Deuteronomy chapter 14, and we're gonna start at where we're gonna start at. We're gonna start at verse 27. In the Levite that is within thy gate, thou shalt not forsake him, for he have no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the tithes of thine increase the same year, and shalt lay it up within the gates. The Levite, because he have no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gate, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, and that the Elohim Yah may bless thee in all the work of thine hand which thou doest. Stop right there. As you see right there, he's telling you that the tithes do your church after every 3 years, like I asked in the first video, does this? No, they don't. I was involved in the church for more than 3 years. They don't do this. They don't hit the streets and take all the money they've gathered from the people within the church and go out and feed the poor. Let's read this again. They don't take their money and go out and feed the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, which are within the gate, and let them eat till they're satisfied. No, they let the government do canned good drives and turkey drives and stuff to feed the poor, when the Most High has assigned an appointed time for you to feed the poor. These tithes were not given for us to capitalize off of financially. It was given to us to feed the nations within Israel, to feed the people within Israel, so there won't be a poor soul within the gates of Israel. This is something the Most High never wanted for us. There should not be people starving out here while these big churches are being built, and all this money is fluctuating through these churches. You will never find out that your government's under a 501c3 plan. They're going to forever tell you that Yeshua's name is Christ. They're going to forever tell you that tithes is money instead of food. And if you bring this to them, they're going to try to bring up all kind of other things. Let's go to Nehemiah 10 and 35. Nehemiah 10:35. And we're gonna get another example of what tithes is. After this video, there should be no example of what tithes is according to the law of the scriptures, not according to what your preacher says. Stop listening to man. No man can save you. Follow these scriptures. You will never be proven wrong unless you got the wrong outlook from another man. Now let's read. Verse 35 of Nehemiah 10. And to bring the first fruits of our ground and the first fruits of all fruit of the trees year by year unto the house of the Lord. Also the firstborn of our sons and of our cattle, as it is written in law, the firstlings of our herd and of our flock, to bring to the house of our Elohim unto the priests that minister in Yah's house, and that we should bring the first fruits of our dough and our offerings, and the fruits of all manner of trees, and all wine and of oil unto the priests, to the chambers of the house of Yah, and the tithes of our ground unto the Levites. And the same Levites might have tithes in all the cities of our tillage. There we go again. Levites, not pastors and preachers who call themselves Christians, who don't even know what tribe they're from, don't even know Jacob, or even know the tribes of Jacob. But yet they're taking tithes, which is supposed to be given to the Levitical priesthood started by Aaron and Moses. That bloodline. If you and you don't know if you're from that bloodline or not, we were all taken in captivity. So what you're doing is an abomination according to the scriptures. You're trying to bring the law back, which it was done away with Yeshua, and you're trading food for money. You're not feeding the poor. So this whole tithe system has got people out here starving to death because people put money into the collection plate and instead of food, and they don't see out that the church goes out to feed the poor with the money that they give them. People swear that the money they're giving them is helping keep the lights on in church, helping take them on trips, and helping keep the church moving. When really the government is keeping the church moving. The church is owned by the government. It's under a 501c3 tax exempt plan. And if they speak about certain things, they lose their credibility with the government and they lose their tax exempt. Let's go to, what are we going to go to? We're going to go to Numbers. I don't know if I went to this before. We're going to go to Numbers 18. Numbers 18 and 21. And I'm going to read. I'm going to start at verse 20. And the Elohim spake unto Aaron, Thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any part among them. I am thy part, and thine inheritance among the children of Israel. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Boom, again. He said, I have given the children of Levi all the tenths in Israel. So your tenth, even if you're paying a tenth out of your check or whatever, it shouldn't be going to the preachers. It should be going to the tribe of Levi. Since we don't know who the tribe of Levi is because we've been scattered to the four corners of the earth, that system is done away with. If you read the scripture, you know it's done away with because Christ came. But if you really read the scriptures, you're going to find out that this whole tenth and tithes thing belongs to a tribe within Israel who was not given an inheritance by the Most High because their inheritance lies within what we give them in tithes and in tenths. They are the priesthood of Israel, not these preachers and pastors worldwide in these churches. They have not been anointed by the Most High, nor do they have the blood of Aaron and Moses running through their veins. So they have no inheritance of taking any tenths or tithes from the people. Total sin. Total sin. Total sin. And on top of that, you got preachers out here who will try to fight this and say, well, and lots of the people tell them, well, you know, we need this money. And say, well, we do things. We take you guys on trips. The government funds that. They don't fund these things. They don't fund none of the trips you go on within church. They don't fund none of the activities you do within church. All of this is state ran, government ran. These people are doing nothing merely but collect. These preachers and pastors are doing nothing more merely than collecting a salary off of what you give them. That's what you're paying for. Your pastor's salary. You don't have to pay me to teach you these words. When you come to the Hebrew Life page, I don't ask for donations. I see these other pages out here. They want to ask for money to tell you knowledge. They want to ask for money. How could I charge you for some knowledge that the Most High has given me, his prophets? This isn't sellable nor buyable. This word is everlasting, and I can't charge you for it because it's not my word. I can't charge you for your salvation and your ticket to everlasting life. And that's what these preachers and pastors are doing. And when people don't have money, they don't even feel like they can come to church because they have no tithes to give. It's ridiculous. Tithes is food. Tithes is food. It's not money. It's not shekels. I'm Base Jerusalem. This is the Hebrew Life. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom.